بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. We are continuing with the chapter of the sins of the body, and the author first starts off by mentioning to use the lost and found article before satisfying the conditions of notification. So what is meant by the lost and found article in this context are the articles which are lost by the owner because he or she did not pay attention. So for one reason or another, the owner lost this item in an area, in a place which is not owned by a specific person or people. So like the street, the masjid, the sea, the ocean, cafe, a place like that. Uh, sorry, I take back the cafe. A place like that which is not owned by a specific person or people. So if you find something owned by someone else, you know this is not yours, in like your house, for example, or your car, or in your store, this thing that you find would not be a lost and found article that we are talking about. So you treat this object as a safe kept article, which means you cannot take it for yourself after a year. But as for the lost and found article, when one finds it, one, they have to notify the people about it in public. So this place would be the closest place where you found this article. So you would go there and notify the people about it. So for example, if you found something in the masjid, you go in front of the masjid, or you go in the masjid, not outside, because it is dispraised to notify the people about the lost and found um objects inside the masjid. Or if there's another place close to where you found it, where people gather, you go there and you notify them. So, how often the person has to go and notify the people? So first, the person notifies the people every day. After a period of time, every week, and then every month. If a year went by since the person started notifying people about this lost article with the intention of owning this article for himself, he is entitled to take it to himself. So again, if he notifies it with the intention for it to become his after 1 year, and then 1 year lapses without the owner appearing, and without its owner uh, would be known, so the owner would not be known, then the one who is notifying and found this article is entitled to take it for himself. So his intention must also include to return it to the owner if one day the owner becomes known. So if the owner comes back for the item, this person, he gives it back to him. That's if still has it, or he pays him the equivalent of it if he doesn't have it anymore. And sometimes under certain conditions in certain areas, if you write a paper and you post where you found the article, this is valid. So instead of you going to where the people gather and you tell them about this issue, just writing a note could suffice. As scholars mentioned other details pertaining to this issue, but let's bring your attention to something that if one does not trust oneself to do what he has to do religiously, then one does not pick it up. He leaves it. But take into consideration that in sometimes one cannot leave it where it is. Like if you find something with the name of God on it. The author said to sit in a place where disobedience is being committed without an excuse. So we mentioned that if someone is sitting in a circle where people are gossiping or backbiting, he needs to leave it if he cannot stop people from gossiping. Another example is if he is sitting with a group of people drinking alcohol, he needs to leave them if he cannot stop from doing that, and so on. The author also said to enter into a banquet without permission or to be admitted out of shyness. Okay, so among the sins of the body is for someone to attend a banquet without being invited, because by this he is using and consuming what others own without their permission, without them accepting that to be done. Likewise, if one knows that he was invited to attend the banquet out of shyness, so the people who invited him, they really did not want this person to be there, but out of shyness, they invited him. In this situation, he is not permitted to go there. It is narrated by the Prophet ﷺ that he said, which means it is not permissible for a Muslim to take a stick of another Muslim without his goodwill. So basically, what is the value of a stick? It's very, doesn't even have a value in most cases. Still, it is not permissible to do that without the goodwill of the other Muslim. And this is the hadith narrated by Ibn Habban. The teacher also said just entering a place of a Muslim without his goodwill is not permissible. Like you can't enter his house without his goodwill. That's haram. The author said to commit inequity among the wives in terms of the obligatory spending and overnight terms. The preference and attraction in the heart to and in accordance to love of one wife over the other is not a sin. So what this means is that one of us cannot control the inclination of the heart. That is, one does not direct his heart to incline towards one thing and to not incline towards another. So this occurs without a person's intention. So one might be married to more than one wife, and in his heart he would be attracted towards one of them more than the other one or the others. This is not a sin because he cannot control it. If this attraction leads one to leave out to be fair in the obligatory spending or the support or in the obligatory turning, in this case, one would be sinful. So, for example, if one starts to give full support to one wife and not to support the other, or not to support one wife with all the obligatory spending so he can give the other wife more than what she needs. In this case, he would be sinful. Or if one starts to spend nights with one wife and he does not spend nights with the other one. Or for him to spend 1 week with his wife and all the other days with the other wife. This is prohibited. As for the saying of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah An-Nisa, which means you are not able to be fair in what pertains to your wives, even if you put your utmost effort. This ayah, it pertains to the issue of attraction of the heart in one's wife. It means whatever you do, you are not able to have the same attraction, the same amount of love for both of them in a total equal way. That cannot be done. That's what the verse means. It does not mean that you are not able to treat your wives equally in a fair way. If that was the case, then how was the Prophet then treating his wives? Would anyone say that he was treating them in an unfair way? Or about how, like Abu Bakr or Uthman or Ali or Umar? So this verse again refers to the inclination of the heart, not the treatment, not the physical treatment. The Prophet once said, which means, I am doing my best in what I can control. So, Ya Allah, do not blame me for what I cannot control. That is inclination in the heart. So I cannot control that, so I am not blameworthy for that. Okay. The author said, for a woman to go out with the intention to pass by men and to tempt them. So explanation. A woman might go out of her house wearing perfume, and she might go out not wearing perfume. She might go out being dressed up, and she might go out not being dressed up. Regardless of how she leaves the house, even if she goes out wearing a niqab, if she goes out with the intention of seducing men, she is sinful. She is sinful with the walk that she takes. Now, if she goes out without this intention, there are details pertaining to this issue. If she goes out in according to the way that the rules of the religion orders her to leave, then she is not blameworthy. If she goes out wearing perfume or dressed up without having the intention to seduce others, in this case, she is not sinful for going out like that. but this is disliked. It's better on her part not to do it. So if she goes out like that, even if she is going to give a class or take a religious class, she does not get a reward in this walking because she is not observing what the religion told her to observe when she goes out. So in her walking, she does not get reward. Thus, she does not intend to get rewarded by her walking if she goes out like that. But again, this is not sinful. It's not haram because there are some things that you can do. You don't get sayyat and you don't get hasanat. You're not sinful, and at the same time, you don't get reward. This is just one of those things. So some people, they perverted the religion about this matter and they prohibited the woman from going out wearing perfume. For example, they say it's haram for the woman to go out. Yeah, wearing perfume, and it's not haram. It is disliked. So had it been the case that it is haram for a woman to go out like that, in any case, it leads to seduction, right? If that was the case, then it would not have been sunnah recommended for the woman to wear perfume before making the intention of Hajj. The wives of the Prophet ﷺ, they used to wear musk before making the intention of Hajj, and afterwards, this musk would run on their faces. Not at one point of time that the Prophet told them to not do that. And you know the rules pertaining to the wives of the Prophet ﷺ. Like they were tighter on them than others pertaining certain issues. The hadith of the Prophet ﷺ clarifies this matter. It's narrated in the hadith of Ibn Hibban, which means any woman that goes out from her house and passes by people with the intention of seducing them, with the intention of letting them smell the perfume that she wears, to seduce them, then she is similar to someone who commits zina. Basically saying that she is sinful. That's what it means. So, as you can see in the hadith, for her to be sinful, it's clearly mentioned a condition that she has to intend by that the people to seduce the people. So this does not mean the sin is as severe as committing true zina. It's similar in that she is sinful. We do not mean by that to encourage women to go out wearing perfume and dress up. No, but we are clarifying what the judgment in the religion is. So it is haram to pervert the rules of the religion. There is no one that has more wisdom than the Prophet or knows what is better for the people more than the Prophet. On top of that, the Prophet conveyed what the people. Okay, so on top of that, the people conveyed what the Prophet told him. This is why Al-Imam Al-Bayhaqi in his book As-Sunan, he mentioned that it's disliked for the woman to go out wearing perfume, and he did not say that it's haram. The author said to engage in sorcery. Explanation. Among the enormous sins of the body is sorcery. It is among the worst enormous sins. The Prophet ﷺ, in one hadith ordered us to avoid 7 enormous sins. He mentioned them in one hadith to clarify how sinful they are, how harmful they are. And among those 7, he mentioned sorcery. So sorcery takes place by saying bad words or doing bad acts. Some type of sorcery include doing blasphemous acts like to prostrate to the devil. One person told about himself that the devil did not teach him sorcery until he prostrated to the devil. Another said that they did not teach me sorcery until I wrote Al-Fatiha with urine. So this is blasphemy. So sorcery sometimes includes blasphemy and sometimes it does not. So even if it does not include blasphemous saying or doings, it's still an enormous sin. There's a famous book in several countries. It's printed in Arabic, in which it teaches people about different issues among them are the issues of sorcery. And in it, there is an explicit term to worship the sun. So even to learn sorcery, sometimes it includes blasphemy. That is, for one to learn sorcery, sometimes it would be made a condition for him to commit blasphemy. If he does it, then he blasphemes by that. Um, so just as it is prohibited, it's haram to practice sorcery, it's also haram to learn it. So some scholars gave detail about this issue, and they said if it is not a condition to blaspheme to learn sorcery, and it's not a condition to commit a sin to learn it, and one does not have the intention of applying it, then it's permissible for him to learn it. So some scholars said in both cases it's haram to learn sorcery. Some said if you do not want to apply it and it's not a condition for you to commit a sin to learn it, then it's not prohibited for you to learn it. And there's a difference in opinion among them. The Prophet ﷺ said in a hadith, which means the one who talks about the unforeseen, so like astrologers or like card readers, and those who ask others about the unforeseen. So those who commit sorcery and those who ask others to commit sorcery for them. All of those are among all of those are not they are not among the perfect believers. So they are committing enormous sins. And sometimes, as you know, these sins, like we said, reach the level of blasphemy. The author said to repel against the Khalifa, like those who rebelled against Ali and fought him. Al-Bayhaqi said those who fought Ali were aggressors. Ash-Shafi'i said the same, even though some of those companions were among those aggressors. It is not impossible for the wali to commit a sin, even if it is an enormous sin. However, he repents from it. So, explanation. As mentioned in the Quran by the Prophet and by the Prophet ﷺ, it is a severe harm to rebel against the Khalifa. That is to take him out of power. This is an enormous sin. This is why we say that those who fought Ali when he became Khalifa were enormous sinners. They were unjust. Very few among the great companions were on the side of those who fought Ali. The rules of the religion do not change because of what some of these few companions did. What is prohibited regardless of the one who does it. And what is permissible regardless of the one who does it. So among the two companions, there were two among them who fought Ali. So in the Battle of the Camel, Talha ibn Abdullah and Zubair ibn uh, al-Awwam, both, they were at the sides of those who fought against Imam Ali. But both of them, they repented and they did not die on that situation. So before the battle started, Ali told Zubair, I want to talk to you. So Zubair came to him. Ali told him, do you remember that one day when it was you, me, and the Prophet ﷺ, and he told you, do you love Ali? And then you said, yes, I love him. And on top of that, he's my relative, my cousin. So he told you that one day you were going to fight against him, and you would be unjust by doing that. When Ali said that to Zubair said, I forgot. Now you reminded me. Immediately he repented and he left the scene. After he left the scene, a bad person followed him and he killed him. When Ali knew that, he said, and I'm paraphrasing, told the one who killed Az-Zubair that he is going to be tortured in hellfire. This is because he killed him after he repented and after he left the battlefield. For Talha, at one point of time, he recognized that he committed a sin by being with those who are against the Khalifa. So he repented and he told them that I'm leaving and I'm not going against Ali. One of the people who were fighting against Ali, when he saw that he wanted to leave the battlefield, he shot him with an arrow and he killed him. But Talha didn't die immediately. Before he died, one of the soldiers on the side of Imam Ali passed him. Talha asked him, which side are you on? And he said, I am among the soldiers of the Khalifa. He told him, give me your hand. I want to repay the allegiance to Ali. So he did that and then he died after that. So Talha and Zubair, because they were among the religious Muslims, uh both of them, each of them, were actually great awliya. Talha and Zubair are among those who was given the good news that they will be admitted to paradise. Talha was courageous and he was very generous because he was very generous, the people used to literally call him in English like the flooding person, meaning that he gives a lot like a flood. Once a blasphemer wanted to hit the Prophet ﷺ with his sword, and Talha saw him, so he protected the Prophet with his own hand. After that, Talha couldn't move his hand because of that damage permanently. Az-Zubair was also very courageous and generous to the point that he was in debt and he died in that situation. He told his son before he died, "If you find that I have lots of debt, then ask my Lord and say, O Lord of Zubair, help me to pay the debts of Az-Zubair." So his son did that, and then he sold only one piece of land that Az-Zubair had. And he got so much money from selling it to the point that he paid all the debt, and the rest were distributed among the inheritors, who were many, and each of one became wealthy out of that. Radiyallahu anhuma. So those two people, Talha and Zubair, had great merits, but they committed this mistake and then they repented. So it's not permissible to degrade them, as some people do unjustly. The author said to accept taking care of an orphan or a mosque or to act as a judge and the like, knowing that one will be unable to perform the task appropriately. So any position that anyone knows about that he is not qualified to perform, it is not permissible for him to do that. Any position. Okay, this includes being a ruler, a judge, someone who takes care of the money of the orphan, an imam, a teacher, an engineer. Any position that one knows that he is not qualified to perform, it's not permissible for him to accept it. Like if someone knows if they have money of others to safekeep, if he knows that he will take it all for all of it or some of it unrightfully, then he does not accept to take it. He does not accept to safeguard it. Likewise, if anyone tells him, "I want to hire you to work as a treasurer," he should not accept because he knows of himself that he's not qualified for that. If he accepts while he knows that he is not qualified, he is sinful for doing that. So don't please people. Like some people say yes because they don't want to hurt other people's feelings. Don't do that. Don't be shy to say no. If you cannot do something, it's better for you to protect yourself from the sin than to please people. And obeying Allah always comes first. The author said to harbor an unjust person. That is to protect one from those who want to obtain the rights from one. So if someone has to fulfill the right of another person or other people, but he does not do that, if someone else helps him in hiding, so protects him, so he does not allow others to take the right from him, this one who protects him is committing an enormous sin. So by protecting this unjust person and preventing others from getting their right from him, he will be committing an enormous sin. In the hadith narrated by Muslim, the Prophet ﷺ said, which means, "The damn of Allah is upon the one who protects an unjust person and prevents others from getting the rights from this unjust person." And this clearly indicates that this is an enormous sin. The Prophet said to terrorize Muslims. And this is one of the sins of the body, which is one of the major sins and it is among the enormous sins of the body. So in previous sessions, we talked about, like if you remember, that even if the person was one's brother from his own blood, from his own mother and father, if he points a weapon towards him to terrorize him, he is committing an enormous sin. So any type of terrorizing, bringing fear to another Muslim, is a sin. There's a note that the teacher said, he said, what is recommended for the woman is that she goes out without wearing perfume and without wearing fancy clothes, with humble clothes and without wearing perfume. The Nabi ﷺ said, which means, do not prevent the woman from going to the mosques if they want to go to the mosque, but let the woman go out without fancy clothes, with humble clothes. This is what the laws of Islam recommend. Without wearing fancy clothes or without wearing tight clothes. Sometimes wearing clothes other than the clothes of the Sharia that the Sharia recommended. So even if those clothes cover the proper areas and one is not sinful by wearing them, but sometimes even without one knowing, wearing such clothes prevent others from learning and accepting the knowledge. What the second part is saying is that, sometimes wearing clothes that the Sharia did not recommend it has a wisdom because it helps people learn. It helps people accept Islam. It helps people communicate. It helps with the da'wah, basically. Um, so I guess use wisdom with the intention to not always kind of look raggedy because especially in the West, there's always opportunities for da'wah. So simply wearing the hijab for women is da'wah and manners are da'wah. And this point is also closer da'wah. And that's what the second part is saying. If a person looks nice and dressed nice, more people are more likely to talk to him. Okay, this is all that I have for today's lesson. Barakallahu fikum. Let us say tahdeedan salah ala nabi. لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم بارك الله فيكم السلام عليكم